Hey, welcome to Cards to Yards, a sports cars and sports podcast. I'm here with Lou today at Adventure Stadium. How's it going, Lou?
Hey, what's up? So everything's going good,
You surviving football season so far?
Oh, yes. I'm in week 3 we're in, and already a lot of changes have been going on. I mean, sucks for Trey Lance last week, but some weird things are going on in the divisions.
In NFL? Yeah. Weird things. Any as far as the hobby goes, any players that people are hot on right now?
Hot on. Let's see here. We definitely have Tua.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
Tyreek, Waddle. Of course, that Dolphin trio right there is smoking hot right now, so everybody's kind of chasing them. Patty Mahomes is looking phenomenal.
Sure.
Believe it or not, a lot of people are still into Fields.
Yeah?
Even though they're 1-1 now?
Yeah.
1-1 now. I mean, they're looking decently solid. He's playing more confident, as you could say. Some of the people that are kind of a little iffy on Joey B. Joey B, rough start. I think sacked 16 times in 2 games. Mm-hmm. Something like that. 16 or 17 times in 2 games. That line, you thought they were building like the Cincy wall, and that thing is just crumbling.
Yeah. No.
But other than that, I mean, football has been great so far in these first 2 weeks. We got football tonight. Who do you got? We have Cleveland and Steelers.
Oh, not Cleveland.
No, not Cleveland.
Steelers. Yeah. I mean, that's who I'll pick every time. Like, I understand, like, they won their first game in, 20-something seasons or something crazy, and then they dropped their next one. Well, unceremoniously. So
Cleveland, first off, they blew I think it was a 16-point lead with 1:33 to go to the Jets. We're not talking Tom Brady. We're talking the Jets.
Right.
Not even playing their starting quarterback with Zach Wilson because he's out for a few more weeks, but old man Flacco. It still shows that he got it.
Sure.
In 1:33 and pulls him back 31-30 to win the game.
After having had to watch Davis Mills this last week in Denver, I have so much more appreciation for people like Flacco and Justin Fields. Like Justin Fields, at least he personally has a very, very high ceiling.
He does, and I think it's because they just have a lot of future picks. Right now, they're in a rebuild mode. I would say the Texans are as well too. Well, the Texans, believe it or not, they show up for the first 3 quarters. And it's that 4th one they pull a Falcons.
Yeah.
And just let off the throat here. That they did it the last 2 games. They were 9? It was 9-9 with Denver all the way through 3 quarters, and then the 4th quarter, just you know what, guys, the over's on this. We're just gonna go ahead and let Vegas win this.
Right. Well, if the Texans are in rebuild mode, then they're doing the kind of rebuild where you have a bunch of Legos and they're on the ground. And you haven't really built any structural thing yet, but you just stepped on one with your bare foot. That's the kind of rebuild they're in. So,
or stub your toe on the corner of the bed.
Yeah. Well, we'll get back to football in a second, but let's do the hobby stuff. First of all, so Aaron Judge just hit his 60th home run. So he's tied Babe Ruth for second most all-time Yankees, which is prestigious, right? And then Roger Maris has 61, so he's chasing him.
For the AL record.
I just wanted to get your opinion on this before we get to those statistics more in depth. A kid, when I say kid, a 20-year-old.
Gave the ball back? No.
Caught the ball. And, he gave the ball back for a handshake, short conversation, a couple autographs. So, no. Yeah.
No. I mean, when you catch something like that or you have something like that of opportunity to really kind of bank on here, I'm sorry. I'm taking full advantage of this. Okay. First thing I'm calling is my lawyer. Yeah. Next thing I'm calling is if I have one at that time, my accountant. And I'm saying, hey, look, what is the best move we can do here? Get a hold of Judge's people and let's try to make a deal here.
Maybe call Heritage Auctions in Dallas?
Possibly. Yeah. I would have never gave that thing back. No. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, good heart. Good heart. Right. I will say he's got a good, kind heart to do that, but me personally, I wouldn't have given him back.
Right. Maybe being 20 with no mortgage or whatever. Maybe that kind of clouds.
You know how expensive it is in New York.
Yeah, I
Man,
do.
a studio is like $2,300, and that's a studio.
It's a 212% on the cost of living index. So yes, I know how much.
It's horrible.
It's as much as real estate has gone crazy in Texas. Yes, worse.
How many
in New
games
York.
are left?
For them, 14.
14 games and just need to knock 2? Oh, man.
Yeah.
I project him probably 65, 66 if we got 14 games left, depending on the schedule.
I'm sure the pressure is immense right now, but like yesterday he had 2 doubles. So like his batting average is still really high for a person with that much power.
So here's my question for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the Yankees, do you pay him?
Yeah. You have to.
So, it was a very easy question, but a lot of people are questioning that. Do we pay him?
You've paid lesser players more. Now, granted, at the time you didn't think they were lesser, but can you imagine the blowback of them not signing Judge?
And the Red Sox get him?
Oh, yeah. And I like how ESPN was dangling that out there. Like, Judge didn't say he wouldn't sign with the Red Sox. Well, of course you're not. As a player, you're not going to cut off your options because that's your main bargaining chip. And even like going to another team, like let's say the Marlins were going to pay him, the Yankees would be like, that's fine. But the Red Sox, that's going to up his value to the Yankees to keep him off the Red Sox.
Whatever. I mean, I predict Aaron Judge will get a big long-term deal. How old is he?
Mid-20s, 26, 27.
He will get a 10-year deal.
Yeah.
He will get a 10-year deal easy. He will retire as a Yankee, and that's that.
Can you imagine? Let's say like he remained tied with Ruth, so he ends on a cold streak and he has 60 home runs, but then he signs with Boston. That might be payback for the Babe Ruth trade. I don't think you could ever pay that back.
Talk about the curse, huh?
But yeah,
definitely came back.
But we'll get back to that in a second. So other than the kid catching the baseball, your opinion? He should have hold on to it for dear life. Yeah,
that right there could have really set you up for your future.
At least college, as expensive as college
More than
is.
college. How much do you think that ball would go for? I mean, if he, that was number 60, right?
Yeah, it just depends. I mean,
the Ruth.
You tie Babe Ruth, you're Aaron Judge, you're gonna be, I don't know. Like, I think if whatever he ends with is gonna be more. I think 62. I think 62 is probably gonna be the most.
Yeah, or whatever he ends with on the end of the year.
The market has been going bonkers. There's been a couple jersey sales for $9.5, $10 million, including the Diego Maradona
Game
one. Yeah, and a Jordan jersey went crazy recently.
10.2 mil.
And then the the highest graded ever 52 Mantle tops went for 12.6.
Yeah.
And then boxing gloves, other tickets, other things. So I don't know, $800,000, $1 million. I don't know. Like
no less than $1 million.
It's not of a international historical value, but it's the Yankees and they have money. I mean, the fans have money. So
no less than $1 million. I mean, I wonder what the guy traded. You said he'd handshake, a small conversation, a few autographs.
Yeah.
Look, if that was the case, okay, say you didn't want to do that. He could have done way better. He had more leverage than anything. He has all the leverage, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I would have probably been like, look, as long as Aaron Judge is a Yankee, I want season tickets in this part of the stadium, along with everything already taken care of, like a club setting. Like what are those things called, where you have the food and the drinks, and invite people over. As long as Judge was one Yankee for the entire time, that's what I want for every game.
See, you say that.
I would have been like, I would have asked for more too. I would have asked for like maybe 4 or 5 Bitcoins. I don't know, maybe 10 Bitcoins. Just a slew of different things. And if they would have came up on it, then I would have felt a little bit better because I would have felt like I got more for it.
Well, see, you have a mass for that hypothetically, and then Judge goes to the Red Sox, and then you're calling him a dumb kid for making that.
Let's go ahead and put it like this: if the Yankees let Aaron Judge go, that would be one of the biggest mistakes in MLB history today. They will not. You got to be stupid to let this guy go.
Mm-hmm.
His batting average is way above 300, 128 plus ribbies.
Yeah.
60 home runs and still counting.
He is a
threat. He is a threat at the plate, and you let him go. It's stupid.
Yeah. His OPS, which is on base plus slugging, is like 1.12. There's only 2 guys over 1,000 or 1.0 right now, and that's Paul Goldschmidt and then Astros, Yordan Alvarez. So, historically, it's like a top, it's probably like a top 30 offensive season right now. Like if you take everything into account, like every season Josh Gibson ever had, every season Babe Ruth ever had, it's going to end up being in that like top 30 tier. Like if you go to baseballreference.com. So
and it's gonna look. End of the day, if they pass on him, the Yankees fans are gonna come after the head of the office.
Yeah. Hobby wise, you see him being above Trout now?
With what has happened this year with Trout, I want to say it's kind of bought it kind of equal.
Okay. But at least temporarily, his stuff has to be on fire right now.
Yeah. I actually have some cleats here, and I've hit them. Now I bought them out, and people could see them.
Yeah.
By the way, where's the size 18, dude? It's so huge, man.
Yeah.
Trout, with everything that happened this year, kind of simmered down a little bit. The whole back issues, the whole thing.
People were scared of that. Sure.
Yeah. But his stuff before then were still really, really hot. 8, 10 seasons in. Oh, when was he rookie? 14, 12? What was
11.
Trout? 11.
Yeah.
12 seasons in or 10 seasons in, 11, and his stuff is still hot. Now it's kind of brought it down. I think now him and Judge on a leveling play field here because they're both big-time sluggers. They're both center. Sometimes he plays center. Well, Judge plays all the outfield.
Right.
Sometimes plays left, right, center. I mean, he can do it all. I mean, I would say I would put him at the same bar.
Right.
Next year will dictate when they're both when Trout's healthy and they're both playing really good ball, then we'll really be able to see who kind of takes that little bit of an inch forward.
Or if the Yankees win a World Series this year.
Oh yeah.
Then
that would definitely pour it. Yeah, we would have to say Judge.
Has Trout even won a playoff game yet? I don't know that he has.
I don't know. I don't think
his
World
playoff
Series,
experience is extraordinarily limited. Even now with the wild cards being as they are, the division they're in right now in their current state with no pitching.
See here, did the Angels miss the postseason this year?
Yes.
They did.
Look at the MLB standings right now. Look at the
now.
AL West. I bet you the Astros are at least 30 games up on them.
Oh yeah, Angels, Texans, Texas, and Oakland are all 3 eliminated.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They were.
What's the Angels' record
games
right now?
Angels are 65 and 84.
Yeah, and you're gonna need. You're gonna need like 90 wins to get 80 to 90 wins.
85 to 90 wins. You're gonna need to get into. Now, don't get me wrong. The AL East is still a little tight because everybody's within 10 games of each other.
Right.
Blue Jays are only back 6.5.
Right.
Tampa 8.5. Orioles are going to be real quick. I mean, I know we're talking about baseball, we're talking about Judge, but Orioles, they have some of the best young studs coming up in the next few years.
Sure,
very good farm league, and I see them going from 4th in here to possibly competing with the Yankees at the top of that division.
I mean, talent-wise, you would have to say hopefully the Blue Jays are going to do that first.
Hopefully, so I thought the Blue Jays should have did that like about a year or two ago.
And the Rays have been a pretty good presence for 7 or 8 years or so. And then I'm completely discounting the Red Sox because they're having such a bad year. But they have money.
It happened after the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Like All-Star break is like when they just started, tanked, man.
But right now, as it's set up, the Astros are running away with the AL in total. However, as incredible a season as they're having, the Dodgers are currently 7 games up on them for best overall record, which means they would have the home field advantage in the World Series. But Astros are about
99
to
and
clinch.
51. They're about to hit 100 wins.
Yeah, and they're about to clinch over the Yankees. They're
Remember, 9 games above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's only like I said, a couple weeks of baseball left. I will throw this out there real quick for baseball. I'm more impressed by pitching. And Framber Valdez for the Astros just made MLB history by having 25 quality starts in a row. That's where you pitch at least 6 innings with giving up 3 earned runs or less.
Wow. Well, congratulations to
first
him.
time in 100-something years that's ever happened. And win total-wise, he's only 1 behind the leader, which is Justin Verlander, also for the Astros. So now I'm wondering, based on Verlander coming back from Tommy John, when you look at all the stats, Fromber also has 3 complete games, which is 2 more than the AL leader. I don't even know who you give the Cy Young to. I almost wonder if you do like a co-Cy Young.
That is a really, really good question.
But I think it's guaranteed the top 2 pitchers. I mean, it's got to be guaranteed to go to the Astros unless they just.
I like Verlander. Verlander, after he had that surgery, I swear to God, it was like he was like rejuvenated.
Mm-hmm.
And they say sometimes they said sometimes that surgery actually makes them better.
Yeah.
On older folks, it's like
right.
The arm is fresh again.
Yeah, and he also leads in ERA and WHIP, which are 2 statistics that they immediately look at. But Fromber leading in that, I mean, making history with that quality starts. And then on top of that, having 3 complete games in an era where like starting pitchers are lucky to make it 6 innings.
Right.
We'll see what happens there. A little bit of
I have no money on Verlander.
Yeah, I mean, I would like comeback player of the year and Cy Young, all rolled into one.
I love it.
And let's see, well, AL Judge is going to get MVP.
And I'm not saying this simply because we're here in Houston.
Yeah.
I'm saying this because I've been watching him ever since he was with Detroit when he first came into the league, and he has been dominant ever since. Yeah, I mean, everybody has hiccups, everybody has injuries. It's the name of the game. But how he has just carried himself, never gave up on himself, and look at him now at how old is he?
Well, he's been in the league since 04, so he's about 40.
About 40-something, and still over here dominating young folks.
Yeah.
I think he deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, and his hero was Nolan Ryan, and we know that his career was 27 years. Verlander's not going to go that long, but I think he is going to go out on top.
Never say never.
We'll see. We will see. So I mentioned this to you off camera. The starting lineup was back. And at first it didn't click with you when we looked up pictures of the old ones from Kenner. You're like, okay, I remember this.
Because I have a few at the house.
Right. So those were, if you looked at them now, you would go, oh, well, that's cheaply made. It doesn't even look like the player. But starting lineup was huge. Kenner was huge in the late 80s with action figures. They had, Star Wars and among other lines. And they were like stadium giveaways, too, exclusives. I remember having like Craig Biggio, Mike Scott from the Astros. And they came with trading cards. And during, the pandemic boom, when people were just like, what kind of oddball cards can I find? They were like finding cases of old starting lineup, cracking them open, and sending them off to PSA and Beckett. And some of those Jordan cards, from the first year, you sold really well because it's like a Jordan card from the 80s,
Yeah.
And then you would have like Peyton Manning rookies, Randy Moss rookies, stuff like that because they used to make rookie starting lineups.
I have a
back then too.
I have a Chad Ochocinco when he was with
Yeah.
the Bengals. I had him sign it. Now that you bring it up, I'm like, man, I have like 2 or 3 of them things at the house.
And they really, it was unannounced back then, but they were kind of the first to have like chase figures because I know like specifically in like the 92 line, there was a Magic Johnson with like a different color warm up on. And at one point it went for hundreds, but people made clamshell cases. You can get them graded by, AFA and stuff like that. But so they're bringing them back. Partnered with Fanatics and Hasbro. Hasbro has a collector site named Hasbro Pulse. They're bringing them back. So I want to give you the price points.
Uh-oh.
Back when the starting lineup was a thing, I remember them being maybe like $6.99, $7.99. Okay, and then you get into the 90s, maybe $8.99, $9.99. So starting lineup's coming back. The figures actually look like the players.
They do. I seen a few pictures.
Yeah,
of
they have a lot of articulation. I'm not sure how many points, but downstairs they have action figures that you look on the package and it'll say like 32 points of articulation. Well, the original ones had maybe like 5. The arms.
Yeah, the arms
and the head.
Elbows.
No, not even the elbows.
No?
No,
Okay.
like if a basketball player was holding the ball, it would just go like this.
Oh, okay.
Or if a football player like this. No elbows, no wrist. So I would say they probably have at least 32 points of articulation, which is a super nerd action figure thing to say, but that's what we do here. It's fine. So they're starting out with NBA. They're starting out with probably like the top 8 players. It includes John Morant, Joel Embiid, Steph Curry, LeBron, Giannis, Luka, and a couple others. So here's the other part of this deal. They're partnered with Panini. They will have trading cards. The trading cards
with
have
Panini or Fanatics.
Well, no, they're partnered. The starting lineup is coming with Panini cards, and this is where this gets tricky because there's a lot of rumors going around that Fanatics is about to snatch up Panini too.
It would only be the smartest move by Panini ever because right now they're at their all-time highest.
Right now, it's not because of that. It's just like you could go onto Fanatics' website and buy a Panini blaster, but that doesn't mean, it has nothing to do with who owns who right now. So I should have said Hasbro paired up with Panini. Panini's putting trading cards in there. The price point is $49.99, but hear me out. So right now, similar action figures are probably $20 to $30. You get a trading card, which is going to have 5 chase levels. On top of that, whatever card you get an NFT of that card. So
okay.
that
kind of levels
it's
it out
a little bit of interesting spin.
NFT on Panini, like the Panini app.
Yes,
when they do the NFTs on there?
the blockchain.
Oh, okay, nice.
I think
okay.
so. Yeah. So, price point, I'm a little bit. I'm just shy about it because I remember like $6.99, $5.99 way back.
Yeah, things have gotten so much more expensive in 30 years.
Yeah.
Now instead of 5 points of movement, now you have 32 plus.
Well,
I mean, they look like the players. They come with a card and an NFT, which the NFT at any moment could really just boom.
Right.
So the $50 investment doesn't seem too bad when you take all those things in consideration.
I am a little bit. I don't know if the rookie crop would have been, blowing people away this year to do this, but I'm a little bit surprised they didn't start out with a rookie because if that rookie blew up, then that card and that figure would be highly sought after. The one thing I haven't seen them do is do variations on the figure. Like if you remember Topps Big League that came out, they came out in like what's called a collector's box. It came with an action figure from Super 7, which was more akin to the 5 points articulation. Like it was made in 2020, but it was made to be like a figure from the 80s. They had card backs that had variants, and you could only get them in the Topps box sets. Y'all might have a few on the shelf from the last couple of years, but it was the Topps Big League Baseball. So those figures on their own sell for like $18 with 0 articulation, and they don't always look like the player. So I think for that cross of the figure collector and the sports nut, someone like me basically, I think that's good enough. Like I wish the price point was $29.99.
Right, or maybe even $39.99. I mean, I would have been okay with. But like you said, all those things getting added in there. I mean, we feel much better than just getting a figurine and a card. We're getting a chance at something grander. So,
but they each do come with a stand that I've seen priced for like $10 to $15 by itself. Like the kind that put people probably downstairs have. They put like Gundam.
They put all the figurines on there.
Yeah, the ones that you can do in the air poses or dunk poses, and I'm sure they're gonna sell like a court or accessories, backboard net, stuff like that. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Definitely.
I'm wondering to see if they get. I think the NFL ones could be big.
NFL just always stays big.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what other licenses they have because it's like, well, would they possibly do this with WWE or would they be able to secure an NHL license for this even though Upper Deck has the mainstream card license? It would be interesting to see, but
that would actually really be neat. And me as a Funko Pop collector and a sports card collector, I'm going to collect some of these. I'd probably, since they're at a $50 kind of markup, that is kind of steep with just what's going on in the world.
Yes.
And we're not rich. So, I would have to be, like, very picky on these. Like, of course, I would get LeBron because I like LeBron.
Yeah.
I like Steph. I would get a couple of these starting ones here just simply because I like them as players for what they do on the court and off the court. So,
right.
I'm game. Most people probably won't be. But like you said, there might be some chase variations. I think them adding some chase variations like Funko does will really, really have the chase going on because us humans, we like the chase. We like the hunt.
Sure.
We like the mystery. And to be able to land one of those just makes it so much more worthwhile.
And from what I read, I think the cards come sleeved, which is a big deal for collectors. So
that makes us feel a lot better.
Makes us feel better. I know that, but they have like red, blue, green, gold.
Let's just hope that Panini's not doing the quality control on these things.
Well, yeah, we'll see about that. But hey, just to round out the action figure talk here, since this will probably be the only time we're able to talk about this, Funko Pops, they have 1 point of articulation. That's it, just the head.
Just ahead.
That's it.
I just love the nostalgia that brings back for me.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, hey, what kind of chase ones do you have? And this and that. I'm like, dude, I have things that just remind me of a great childhood, which people cannot relate to nowadays. You know, my Goonie figurines and my Pokemon and Batman from Jack Nicholson, Joker, that far back. You know, there's things like that I don't collect just because of value.
Right. Yeah, no, they really hit. They had always hit on nostalgia, but with those in particular, they went from bobbleheads to that, and they've just been on fire ever since. I'm always jealous when I see their giveaways at the Mariners games too. They always have like really good ones because that's where Funko's headquarters is. So
yes, I used to live in Washington. I used to live in Tacoma. I went to a few Mariners games, but fortunately, I didn't go on bobblehead night.
Yeah,
it happens.
So back over to sports. So NFL Week 2, we learned a few things. We learned that the Broncos are really bad, but the Texans are somehow worse. The Texans were hanging with them the whole game, and then I realized just how low Davis Mills' ceiling is going to be. And I'm just like, because the defense played well. Like, you know, our star rookie cornerback, he got bit a few times. There's going to be growth there. The coaching staff, I would say the coaching staff, I feel, made good play calling. However, it could have been because Denver was so bad, like at play calling. So we'll see what happens there. As you mentioned, Tua had 6 touchdowns, so he's back on the hot list as far as collectors go.
A lot of people are like, is it a fluke or can he keep it going? Well, I mean, sometimes you got to find your groove, and I think he's finding it.
And the fact that the Dolphins scored 28 points in the fourth quarter. And the
Ravens, we're not talking about beating just a regular team.
Right, but they stunned the Ravens 42-38. You mentioned Pittsburgh and Cleveland. I'm wondering if we're going to see Kenny Pickett come off the bench soon because Trubisky blew the game and they fell to the Pats 17-14. And then if you saw the Arizona Raiders game, it was insane. And Kyler Murray was just running around
like a little kid.
Yeah, to an overtime victory.
I kind of remember like backyard football.
Yeah.
That he was playing. He was just running and moving around.
I mean, the end of that game was crazy, and then overtime was crazy. It looked like no one wanted to win the game. The Raiders made a couple of big blunders at the end, and Kyler Murray just ran it in. So, any other thoughts for NFL?
What else we've learned?
Like other than just enjoying the season so far. I mean, I think we're only 2 games in, but you kind of see you at least get an idea of the personality of the teams, if they're going to be able to come back, if they're going to be able to score. The Texans are we talked about the Dolphins scoring 28 in one quarter. I don't know if the Texans are going to score 28 all season in the game. So I just don't know.
First and foremost, it's all about coaching.
Yeah.
You know, coaching is what leads to victories. I mean, we have our players with skills and certain assets, but it's the coach's jobs to put those players in the greatest positions for success, right? So the Texans, they have a lot to work to do. I mean, as well as the Broncos, they got a whole new coaching staff, a new quarterback, trying to learn a new system. Both teams are pretty bad, but not as bad as most people see them on paper. The Texans, again, they show up for the first 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter they kind of just shut down. Maybe the endurance coach needs to go ahead and have them run a few more laps. I don't know.
Right.
Something's wrong there. We figured out that Trevor Lawrence is not as bad as he was last year.
Yeah.
And again, that was due to coaching.
Yeah.
We have a new coach in place. Trevor Lawrence is starting to feel more confident in the pocket and really getting the ball out there. Now Travis Etienne's back there to help him, to keep the linebackers up to bay. I mean, last year they were just keying in on this guy because he had no running back. But James Robinson, not a threat. Dolphins just smoking hot. They're finally figuring it out. Send Tyreek on a go. Send Jalen Waddle on like a 10-yard post and have them just go, and then send a few drags underneath It's going to screw up that whole defense.
And that's the kind of stuff that's going to come out as we get, a few more games in. But, I mean, early on, there's no huge shocks. I mean, I'm sure there's fans that are disappointed. Shocks. There's fans that may be surprised. But I thought it was going to be a rough season for the Texans. It looks like that's going to be
Here's
the
a
case.
huge shock for you. Yeah. Huge shock for you. The Giants are 2-0.
That's pretty big.
The Giants are 2-0. We're talking about a team that was written off before even preseason happened.
Yeah.
Danny Dimes, like I said this a long time ago, I said Danny Dimes needs to play for his contract. And what is he doing? He is playing for his contract. Same with Saquon Barkley. If he doesn't play like the person that they drafted him to be, they were going to ship him. They are going to ship him at the end of this year if he wasn't going to go ahead and load up. And both of them are showing up. The defense is showing up a little bit. And they're surprising. They're very surprising. Like I said, my two biggest disappointments this year is Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And I think there's one in the NFC. I'm trying to think of who it is. It'll come back to me, but Cincinnati is one of my biggest disappointments right now. Can they pull it together? Yeah. Starting off 0-2. Only time you can't pull it together is when you start off like 0-7.
Yeah.
How about the Lions? I called
right.
it. Didn't I call it on our last pod? I said,
did.
hey, they're my Cinderella team.
Yeah, you did.
They fought hard. They almost came back and beat Philly in week 1.
Yeah.
That shows heart. That shows compassion. They're playing to the fat lady sings at the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they come out. I think Washington Commanders were a 10-point favorite or a 7.5-point favorite. And they completely blew them out of the water. Oh, my other team. That's a disappointment. Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, yeah. Well, they almost lost to the Texans. It was a tie.
Indianapolis Colts are my second most disappointed team. Not only because I have Jonathan Taylor on my fantasy draft and he only got me 5 points last week, but because Matt Ryan was supposed to come in there and kind of help that team get over that hump.
Yeah,
because he's a slinger. I mean, he's still got the arm. He's smart. He's older. He's crisp, but he just looked horrible last Sunday.
Right?
Like, oh my God! Like, should we have even traded for this guy?
I mean, they didn't give up much. So I mean, that was basically if they
as long as last year though.
As long as they waited, that was about probably the best they could have done in that situation. Unless you just tried to pry Garoppolo away, but. To me,
you would give it too much.
Yeah, I'm not sold.
I say the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, we're only week 3.
Yeah,
So if I'm thinking about this and I'm like, dang, Matt Ryan wasn't the right pick, the right call. I'm just gonna kind of go through this season, and then next year try to get a good draft pick.
Sure.
Probably pick up Bryce.
Yeah.
From Alabama.
Right.
We'll see how that goes because they do need a young quarterback.
Yeah.
They need a young quarterback. They keep on going after these old guys. The year before was Phillip Rivers, and
yeah, it's gonna be a long season. I mean, football's always big on Sundays and Thursdays and Mondays, and then we're gonna have NHL and NBA starting back up soon, and we're gonna have a crazy MLB postseason. I mean, it's inevitable.
You see it brewing.
It is inevitable. It's gonna be the Astros versus the Yankees. We're gonna beat them again, and then it's gonna be Astros Dodgers. I don't want to predict that one, but yeah, inevitable.
My Braves are going to come back into town and show you guys once again how it's done here in H-Town.
Sure. that's on the NL side of things, but I'm pretty sure in AL it's going to be.
No, I'm saying what I mean though. We're going to see them.
Right. I know.
Dodgers ain't coming back. Braves are going to come back.
I would be glad. I would be glad for that because that means Astros would have a home field advantage. So,
well, if I was to pick and not going by like my favorite team or anything like that, but what kind of World Series I would like to see, you're already thinking it.
Yeah.
Mets, Yankees.
No. Yeah. No, we don't need another Subway Series,
dude. That would be a phenomenal World Series with them two playing phenomenal ball. I went to their World Series. I went to that World Series. I went to their one game when I went to Nationals. And that was just a regular season game, and the atmosphere in that stadium was just like no other. Can you imagine the World Series? Everything at stake here.
I'm going Astros, Dodgers, and a trash can Sonata. Like I need that to be played back out.
I would like to
without
see
trash cans.
This time, I'm going to go to a World Series game. I will not miss out.
Yeah. Just real quick. Unfortunately, we talked about this before. Not many tennis cards out there, but. One of the greats retired from tennis, Roger Federer. He had 20 Grand Slam titles, finishes third all time behind Djokovic, and of course Nadal leads with 22. And he also, had an epic rivalry with Rafael Nadal, and with whom he is partnering for one last doubles match this week in a World Cup tennis event. So he's just been one of the biggest names in tennis. On the men's side, you obviously have the Williams sisters, with Serena shutting it down recently. But so tennis again been so top heavy for like 20 years or so. Loses Federer, so you have Nadal, who's I think a year or two older than that. Even he's still going, and then you have Djokovic, who's been hindered by COVID protocols and stuff like that. But one of the all-time greats. So just wanted to mention that. Unfortunately, not a lot of cards. He has a Net Pro rookie, and that's about it. But I just wish. I know there's a new medal.
Did he say why?
Huh?
Did he say why he was retiring?
Just age.
Just age, right?
He's slowed down. You can tell. Like, he's been hampered by knee and leg injuries, and I don't know when the last time he won a major was. I mean, Nadal and Djokovic have been in the major finals, like, every, probably like the last 8 or 9.
That is a very recognizable name, too.
Yeah.
Follow him ever since I was young.
Absolutely. And I haven't seen if there's any tennis cards in the Metal Universe that just came out, but I don't think he had any good one cards. There's some of those hodgepodge sets where they have tennis. I just wish I wish Upper Deck would do a proper, like an SP Authentic tennis. I think people will go wild for it.
Yeah.
Depending on the price point.
For
and all
you guys that have his rookie card, congratulations. That thing's up by like 79%.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I mean, and if anyone wants to go that kind of like, not oddball card, but you're thinking outside of the 4 major sports, I would still pick up Djokovic cards, because eventually, just because of his age, he's going to pass. He's going to get the all-time record for Grand Slam titles. So speaking of cards, what are you telling people to look at this week and next?
All right, so I think we received Topps Chrome 2022 Topps Chrome jumbos and hobbies.
Red hot.
Oh, yeah, super hot, to the point where I can't even keep them on the shelf. I have to hide them. People want them all. I have to put a limit on them, unfortunately. But those are our baseball hottest stuff, along with Immaculate Baseball. Immaculate Baseball has been great as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's not licensed. However, they come with some of the best looking cards and patches.
They do really well on
that your money can buy. And for $350 for an Immaculate box, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
The price point is there. Again, Topps 2022 Topps Chrome Baseball Jumbo and Hobby. Hobby, you get 2 autographs guaranteed. And in the HTA Jumbo, you get 5 autographs. Now, this is what you're guaranteed. Now, this is not talking about maybe, numbered cards or superfractors or any of that sort. So they can still lay in there. I mean, come up here and find out, and, hopefully you land a big one in here. We have, for football, we have Gold Standard Hobby box. It comes with 7 cards. Actually, I have one sitting right there. Can I see it? Mm-hmm. This is our Gold Standard box. Our Gold Standard box. This is NFL Gold Standard 2022. It comes with 5 autographs or memorabilia cards and a guaranteed rookie patch auto. So you get 1 RPA, and then the other ones are going to be a slew of autographs or memorabilia patches. That's what we received in this week. Next week we have NFL 2022 Elements. Elements are cards that are made like on metal and aluminum and all that cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Metal, wood, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
The price points are good on 2022. Unfortunately, we don't have nothing huge we're chasing. Maybe Pickett, maybe Malik if he gets to start.
Yeah.
And some other players like receiver heavy. So you'll notice last year was a little bit more expensive than this year. So if you were saving up money and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to get me a hobby box this year's the time to do it. With these boxes only being $325, $345 ballpark range, that's better than last year being at $450, $500.
They're starting to normalize
for this year.
And and stuff like Score is going to come out for lower price point entry.
We have Score as well, too. I think coming at the end of the month, if I'm 100%. Yeah, 9:30, end of the month, 9:30.
And what's great about that set, it's later than usual, so that is going to be one of the first sets with players actually in their uniforms.
Yes.
So.
Yep.
Usually not the case.
One of the first
scores,
sets, but
one of the first sets.
The new gold standard actually has them all in their new uniforms,
okay,
which is pretty cool. Usually, score comes out first, like even before prestige and all that stuff. Just a little bit pushed behind.
But that's a good base building set, like entry level for score. Yeah. So.
And last but not least, for NBA, we had 21-22. Yes, we are still on the 21-22 season. Almost done. Chronicles Hobby. Chronicles is one of the most underrated boxes or lines that you can get from Panini. Chronicles is just like 23 to 25 of their sets, just kind of plucked, put in a mixing pot, mixed up, and boom, that's what you get. Every card is different. It's not like Prism pack and you're pulling the same, all looks the same, it's just a different player. These are just every different set. And you can pull some crazy stuff out of here. I think I've seen some immaculate cards come out of boxes like this when we had the football in here. But come inside, enjoy the shop, come grab some of this new product or maybe even some older product if you guys want. We're here.
And we were talking about nostalgia earlier. Chronicles always hits on that because they have all the old defunct designs as well as the new stuff like Flux and like you said, immaculate.
You're not going to find like Vision, the clear acetate ones.
Right.
They don't make those hobby boxes no more. They only come in Chronicles.
Right.
Panini Black only comes in Chronicles. I mean, those are just some exclusive things for those boxes and for the price points. Great. I think they're like $2.99. Come inside and grab yourself a box.
Yeah. They should have called it Inception because it's a set within 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 a set.
Yeah, but then again, Topps would have sued them because
I know.
Topps has that.
But it's like you said, it's getting a little bit ridiculous because when it first started out, it's like, oh, that's cute. There's like 8 different sets, and then it's like, well, now we're gonna do 13. And now 22 or 23 or whatever.
I think just in basketball alone, I think there's over like 30-something sets.
It's hard as a set builder because then you go, oh, okay, there's only 30 cards per set, but then you times 30 is 900. So
most of the sets are 200 to 250 card sets, and it's ridiculous.
It's
not including the parallels and one-on-ones
right.
and out of 10s and out of 50s and out of 100s that
right.
are there.
And then you have to keep track of what's hobby, what's retail, what's blaster, what's single. It's like, okay, what's hanger box. All right.
It gets a little redundant.
It does, but thank you for being on Cars DRs this week. We talked action figures for 10 minutes, which is probably never going to happen again. So
I enjoy coming on your show. I appreciate you,
yeah.
Inviting me in here and getting to talk and enjoy myself.
Well, make no mistake, this is y'all's show because I want people to come into the Adventure Stadium here at Adventure Begins Comics and Games in Conroe, and it's a great place, man. I say that every time, but like. Football season specifically, you all got the breaking table. You made that all nice. You got the TVs in here.
We're still not done with the table neither. We're still got another. We're putting our logo in the middle. That logo.
Oh, nice.
In the middle.
Yeah.
And we're gonna clear it off and level it out. We have a lot of great things happening here, and we're not even a year in.
Right. Y'all started the trade nights recently and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're doing more trade nights. People are loving it. We're doing more box breakings. We're doing our Twitch stuff. It's starting to kind of get into the motion of things, and it only goes up from here.
Yeah.
So many people are just walking through our shop and enjoying just what we have. Not only that, but our prices and how organized and neat everything is. And you walk into some of these other sports shops, and it feels like so 2001 when we're over here and really like in the era 2022, and we're up to speed on technology, and people love that. You know? So I mean, I'm not going to toot our horn too much. Just if you haven't been here yet, or if you're ever visiting from out of town, make this one of your places to stop. You don't have to always buy anything. You just come here, say hello, look around, say hi to myself and Mark and the whole gang.
Absolutely. Yeah. And of course, there's always comics downstairs, which I love too.
Man. So, that's a whole nother world down there, man. I love it.
We're gonna wrap this up with our glossary term. I'm gonna go with NFT, just in case there's not any Bitcoin bros. That people that aren't Bitcoin bros that are watching. They're like, "What's NFT?" It's a non-fungible token. The really layman's way to put it is a digital trading card. That's what it is. But up and down like with everything else in the market. But a lot of companies like Funko have started doing NFTs. You can exchange them for actual cards. We had mentioned them today because of the starting lineup. You're going to get a physical card, and then you're going to get an NFT
Panini's
of
been
that
doing
card.
it.
Yeah, on the blockchain. Yeah,
I actually have a few.
yeah. I mean, they've been inserting them into regular packs, and you just you scratch off the number, redeem them. So that does it for Cards to Yards. We'll see you next time.
Well, gang, that's all for today's episode. So join us next week. Cars to Yards, brought to you by the Adventure Stadium, and the adventure begins. Again, we're located off 1488 and Woodland Square Boulevard. See you next time.